Being compliant is just straightforward. Being maliciously compliant? Well, that's another story. Welcome to this episode of Malicious Compliance. Our first one is from VLNTNWBR. Just for some context, this story took place in Germany, so English was taught as a second language. When I was in 9th grade, I had a bit of a problem with my English teacher. She hated me. Probably because of my accent and choice of vocabulary were more American than British English. This was because I have relatives in the US, which I used to visit almost every summer. Here in Germany, all the English teachers I had were taught in British English, but were required to accept other accents as long as they were mostly consistent. She was the only one that really disliked my English, to the point where she wouldn't call on me in class even though I knew the answers. This knocked down my participation grade, but my final grades were still okay because I exceeded at exams. One of those exam situations I still remember years later. The exam stood out to me because a lot of the assignments were riddled with spelling mistakes or the occasional grammatical error. It was also very easy. So much so that I was able to finish what was supposed to take 90 minutes in about 45. I wanted to hand it in and enjoy some free time before my next class, but she wouldn't let me. Said something along the lines of it being impossible to finish this quickly and that I had surely missed something. She asked me to check the work again before submitting. Notice how she didn't say, "check your work"? I noticed. I went back through the exam, my work and hers. I did catch some errors I made and corrected them, but I also marked every single one of her mistakes I could find with a red pen. It felt great handing in that paper. It felt even better when she returned the graded exams. She was visibly angered but couldn't really do anything about it without exposing herself. She was even more annoyed that I got a 100%. I love how you basically corrected her since she was so adamant on you double checking the work that you checked both yours and hers and showed her that she has a lot of work to do. This next one is by Nujbauer Dev. So I booked a flight for the 24th of December to visit my grandparents. Trying to be responsible, I booked the flight 8 weeks in advance, paid €150 for both flights, there and return, and sure, I'll pay that €6 for a suitcase. So all is good and I forget about the flight. Well, last week I get an email telling me that the flight time has changed. Okay, I check it. Great, it departs 2 hours earlier. No worries. 3 days later, ping, another email. But now the flight is a day prior. Shit, I have university that day, but let me see what I can do. Contact customer service, jump through hoops, but there's no alternative flight. Okay, while browsing I noticed that the flight is now a bit cheaper, €40 cheaper. So I ask if I can get a partial refund or an upgrade for the inconvenience of the flight leaving earlier and me reshuffling my schedule. Well, nope. They insist that I can only accept the flight or cancel it fully. I hold off. Not worth the hassle, I think. Who knows how long it takes to get my money back. So after a few days, I check the flight. Wow, they reduced the price. Now the asking price is €799. That's almost free. So I ask again, is a partial refund possible? Okay, no problem. Please cancel my booking. 24 hours later, they notify me the full refund has been processed. Great! Now I book the flight again, for just €15 there and back. That's a cheap flight. The taxi to the airport cost me more, but hey, no partial refund. Update. Today they changed the departure time again. Now it departs at 7 in the morning instead of 2 in the afternoon. I understand that a lot of airlines are struggling due to the pandemic and the snowball effect it's had on their business. However, I'm glad that in this situation, you were able to get a round-trip flight for hella cheap. This next one is from Chainsmoker Magic. So this is an interaction I observed in a convenience store the other day. It was a busy day, so there was a bit of a line, and behind me was a couple speaking Spanish to each other. My Spanish is not the best, but I understand enough to overhear them being cute and flirty with each other. Kinda made me smile because ain't love grand? Enter Karen, standing behind them in line. obnoxiously large sunglasses, the classic haircut, and red lipstick on her teeth. Probably mid-40s. She gets into the line and immediately starts looking visibly annoyed. She grunts and sighs audibly, prompting the boyfriend from the Spanish-speaking couple to turn around. "Hey, is everything alright?" he said in perfect English. Karen gives him a look that could peel paint from the walls and says,
"Oh, I'm fine. I just wish the people had better standards for themselves. You know, speaking Spanish in public makes you seem uneducated, right?"
Now, my knee-jerk reaction upon overhearing this was to turn around and tell this lady where she can stick it, but the boyfriend beat me to it. As soon as she said uneducated, dude's face inexplicably lights up like a Christmas tree. He smiles at her and immediately turns to his girlfriend and starts saying something in French. The girlfriend responds to him, also in French. He turns back to Karen and says, "Is that better?" At this point, I'm giggling to myself because damn, that was great. But it's not over. Karen stares at the guy, mouth agape, completely speechless. "No? How about this?" he asks, turns to his girlfriend and asks her something in what's clearly German. The girlfriend laughs and responds, also in German. Now, I don't speak French or German, but really, I didn't need to. This was comedy gold. At this point, I'm just busting out laughing. Karen and the other people in line saw me, so I just turned to the boyfriend and simply smiled at him, then turned to the Karen and let off a, "Damn, he told you." I paid for my stuff by then and I leave as I hear the girlfriend ask, "So how many of those languages are you educated in?" Wish I'd stayed around to see the end of the interaction. From the moment the dude spoke French, Karen's face was just priceless. But I'd already interjected with some smart-assness, and confrontations really aren't something I'm looking for in my life. Besides, these two didn't need anyone's help. I can guarantee that Karen's face was Kodak-worthy, most likely Christmas card-worthy. But she got what she asked for. She was complaining they were speaking Spanish, so they spoke 2 additional languages she couldn't even comprehend. Beautiful. This next one is by Undecided MN. About 20 years ago, my wife and I had just gotten married and we rented a condo where all the windows and sliding doors faced the parking area. My wife, to celebrate our first Christmas as a married couple, put a white rope light on the railing on our 2-foot grilling area. It was a nice little gesture. That night, we went out for dinner, and when we came home, we found a letter under our door. The letter read, "All holiday lights must be removed immediately from the exterior portion of the condo. Christmas or other religious lightings is against HOA policy and failure to remove can result in fines and other legal actions." My wife felt horrible and I couldn't believe it. The owner of the condo had left a copy of the HOA regulations and I found a nice little loophole. Apparently, they could regulate lights on the exterior, balcony, and grilling area, but not lights inside the condo. Game on. I took my wife immediately to the big box hardware store and I picked up 2 fake Christmas trees, about 2,000 colored lights, a light ball, and whatever holiday decoration I could find. Our condo had 3 windows and the sliding glass door. I filled up each one of those windows with lights, crisscrossing around the inside of the perimeter of the window, and one had the LED ball hanging in the center. The sliding door had the Christmas tree in full view, completely covered in lights and ornaments. Also, the sliding doors were full of Christmas lights. My electric bill must have tripled. When you came into the parking lot of the condo complex, you saw a beacon full of Christmas spirit. You could probably see the condo from orbit. And nothing could be said by the HOA snitch. Apparently, at the next board meeting, a proposed rule change was brought up to limit the amount of holiday lighting being shown through windows. It was quietly pointed out by another HOA board member that was an attorney that you probably could not regulate activities inside a person's dwelling. I moved out before next year, but I never received another notice. There's always that one Grinch that tries to ruin everybody's Christmas or tries to ruin Christmas for others just because they choose not to partake. I'm glad you found that loophole and we're still able to decorate regardless. Alright, that's enough maliciousness for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Malicious Compliance. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.